Loud.
Awesome. Okay, so I'll just start with a little intro. Thank you guys. Can you see me on this thing? Yeah. Thank you guys all for coming. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it. So just to give you kind of just a little bit of a background, this is one of the many events that we do. We have a group that we call the Global Wellness Warriors. We're basically a group of people that love to inspire healthy living. That's with food, and not just food, which is really why we're excited about this event, because it's about, just life in general, how to live a happy, healthy life for the long term, right? Not just in the short term. So thinking about mindfulness and meditation and personal growth and abundance and, really surrounding ourselves with good energy and things like that. So we are all part of a company called Juice Plus. Some of you may know about it, some of you may not. So we'll mention it, little tidbits here and there during the night, but that's kind of not the focus of this night. So if anybody has any questions, we've got information over there. You can always kind of grab one of us at the end. But yeah, our Global Wellness Warriors group, we do events like this. We've done, recently we had an event, why can I think of it?
Self-defense.
Self-defense, thank you. A self-defense event right in town, which is really cool. So it was a bunch of women that got together, and it was actually an amazing event. We learned so much, and we do salad in a jar parties, we do wine and wellness, we do all sorts of events. So we have yoga parties, we do all sorts of things. So it's a lot of fun. And this is the first time that we're doing this event called Raise Your Vibe. And we're all really excited about this event because I know for all of us here that are speaking tonight, especially, and some other people in the room, we've learned so much over the past couple of years on how to raise the vibration in our own lives. And we're not calling ourselves experts or anything like that, but we've learned a lot that's helped us in our own lives. And we want to be able to pass it on to everybody else. And so, the basis of this event is we all know people who have a really great vibration in their life. Like, we're attracted to them, right? We look at them and we say, they get everything. They're always happy all the time. They get the promotions and the jobs. Good things happen to them all the time. Or we just surround ourselves with them and we're like, wow, I just feel good when I'm around those people. Like, feel good when I'm around that person. You can also get the opposite, right? Where sometimes you're around somebody and you get that really, icky feeling, and, they're kind of like this woe is me person, and, my life is terrible and this horrible thing happens to me, and that, everything is negative all the time. So, we're kind of looking at, who do we surround ourselves with? What kind of energy are we taking in from the people that we surround ourselves with? And what kind of energy are we giving out to people also, right? So we all want to be happier. We all want to be healthier. We all want to live like this vibrant, wonderful life. How do we do that? And it's really a lot of different steps that you can take in your life, little things, and that really has to do with mindset, and changing your mind. A lot of people say, change your mind, change your life, right? We hear that term all the time, change your mind, change your life. It is beyond true. If you start thinking positively and you start changing how you think, how you react, how you just go about your daily life, even the things that you say to yourself and things you say to other people, kind of making a little switch to your outlook on certain things, you can really start to change that vibration in your life. So we're going to be focusing on 4 different areas tonight. So we have 4 different people talking. We're going to be talking about mindfulness and meditation. That's our first one. Then we're going to be talking about health and nutrition. We're going to be talking about personal growth, and then we're going to move to abundance. And, this is not like you just have to sit and listen to us for an hour. We're all going to try to stick to the 15-minute time frame. But if you have questions, raise your hand. You have a comment. Maybe you have something that you do that you want to share. This is we want it to be everybody talking and interactive. So feel free to speak up, and it's meant to be kind of a fun learning event. So we've got some everybody have a handout? Everybody's got a handout, so we've got a handout. We've got some little things that we're going to have you do throughout the night, and that's it. Does anyone have any questions before we start? No? All right, so I am first going to bring up Sarah. And Sarah's going to talk about mindfulness and meditation. So, hi. Make sure we can see you in the computer. Right. Yes.
Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm a physical therapist, and I do a lot of mind-body work with patients and myself. I kind of got into this because I have my own stressors with mental health. I fought a lot of depression and anxiety. I had postpartum depression twice, so that's kind of why I got into this side of mind-body work versus just your standard physical therapy. So does anybody here have a mindfulness or meditation practice they do regularly? That's great. You guys use apps? Do you just do that on your own? Apps?
Insight timer. You have an
Insight timer?
Yep.
What else? Calm, yeah, that's one of my favorites.
10% happier.
10% happier.
I started with an app, but now I have a person.
I have a person.
Ooh.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So when you're thinking about mindfulness,
I do it on my own.
I'm going to say she's here. She's here. That's why.
oh, that's great. So what do you do for mindfulness?
Well, I do a lot of different things. It depends on, like every day I connect. I call it my connecting.
Yeah.
So I connect to source, and then I connect with Mama Gaia,
Yeah.
or
Excellent.
energy connection. And I also do Reiki, so I do a lot of Reiki work.
That's great. You're the next level up. Yeah. That's awesome. So when you talk about mindfulness, a lot of people don't really know what that means. So I tend to think, explain it as we acknowledge our thoughts and understand that they could affect us, but that we're not our thoughts, that you can notice your thought and then let it go and another one will come. Does anyone here think that they can't meditate or that meditation is hard? Yeah, so that's pretty common at the beginning. And that's, people think they need to empty their brain, and that's not necessarily how you can start. A great way to start is just to notice your thoughts, let them go, and then refocus on your breathing. So for breathing techniques, I usually recommend box breathing is a great one. And you breathe in for a count. It can be any count. I usually start with 4. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, hold for 4. And that really helps to slow your respiratory rate, which will help with anxiety and a lot of other things. Another one is the inner ease technique. And inner ease I use, you put your hand on your heart, right hand on your heart, and you try and do it, if you can, skin to skin is actually best. And you think of a time when you felt really happy, peaceful, and loved, and just set a timer for 2 minutes and just hold that thought for 2 minutes, and you'll find your heart rate slows and your blood pressure go down. So that's another great technique. That's just 2 minutes if you want to start slow instead of starting really fast. Other things I use for meditation is I use a lot of technology for meditation, especially for people who find it difficult to meditate or say they can't meditate. 2 of the things I'll use are the Muse meditation headband. So this is a neurofeedback headband, and it has sensors on the inside of it. It goes right across your forehead, almost like a Star Trek episode. And there's sensors on the ears, and it measures your brain waves for focused attention. So I was meditating for probably 2 years before I started using this, but I always did open heart meditations versus focused attention, and I have kind of a squirrel brain. And that was, I did that for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, I got a bird. So it gives you real-time auditory feedback. When you have a quiet mind, birds start singing, and the goal is to keep your mind focused even though there's a calming auditory feedback. And when your brain starts wandering, there's a lot of kind of like louder feedback. It depends what soundscape you're on. There's ocean waves get really loud and crash, or the thunderstorm gets louder. So that's a great way to kind of help retrain your brain to be able to focus while you're meditating. Totally different type of meditation than I was doing, and my brain was definitely not trained. The other tool I use, and depending on the person, may or may not, you get to choose which works best for them, is the inner balance. And this connects to your phone via Bluetooth, goes on your ear. And measures your heart rate variability. So this I find better with an open heart meditation. And you actually want your heart rate variability to increase, your heart rate to decrease when you're working with that. But that just gives you some feedback on how your body should feel when you're relaxed, so that you can recognize that state and get back there on your own, even when you don't have the technology on. So then the other app that I use the most for meditation is Calm. I really love that app. I think that's a great one. I love the voice on that one for guidance. Moving forward with the next thing I would talk about is a great thing for mindfulness then is bilateral brain stimulation. So when you're working through anxiety or depression, usually to rework whatever event that you're trying to recover from, bilateral brain stimulation is one of the best ways to do that. The most common way in therapist's office now to do that is EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprogramming. Ways to do it on your own are binaural beats, which there's tons of YouTube binaural beats out there. Brain FM is another app or website that you can go to, and it has tons of bilateral brain stimulation. And then Touchpoint Solutions is the last one to use for that. They come in little vibrating, so these both, they will vibrate alternately, and you can either hold them or they come on bands and you can wear them as bracelets. And when you, usually within 5 minutes of putting them on, you'll find that anxiety levels greatly drop. So that's a great one as well for bringing that calm down.
Could you explain the beats? What is that?
Binaural beats. So they're supposed to stimulate both sides of the brain. So when you listen to it, you're supposed to have headphones on.
Okay.
So that it's one ear and then the other ear, one ear and then the other ear, so that you're getting stimulation from each side at the same time.
Okay.
I'm sorry, and it's supposed to benefit someone who's dealing with anxiety.
Anxiety, yep. Anxiety, or if it's a trauma, something from a trauma as well. But that's great for anxiety. And then with, sorry.
Can you talk, sorry, what is the first thing called?
The headband is called a Muse meditation headband.
Is it just on Amazon?
M-U-S-E? Is that how it's
M-U-S-E. I can put a link to it in the event afterwards. Two things I really like to do. Another thing I really like to do for mindfulness is grounding. When you think about mindfulness, you're really trying to think about letting your thoughts go and feeling these sensations in your body right then in the moment. So a great way to do that is to do some grounding exercises. One I love to do is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 things you can see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can feel, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. So activating all 5 of your senses and really getting back into your body and what your body's experiencing in that moment. And get you a little bit out of your thoughts, letting your thoughts go. Another great one, if that's a little bit, if it's too noisy and you can't focus on that, is actually tracing your foot over and over again in your brain. Like you would, like a little kid tracing your hand, but tracing your foot in your brain. That's a really great grounding exercise just to get you kind of back focusing on your body and your root chakra, the base root chakra.
Sarah, is there anything about grounding, just like literally going
outside and walking on the ground? Then so scientifically that's like the exchange of ions with the earth. So you can ground that way as well. That's a great way to ground. In the winter in New England, that's not really an acceptable choice. Now you can start to do that, not today, but so that's great as well. Just walking around barefoot outside. And that actually walking around barefoot has a lot of other stuff. So when people come in with chronic back pain, one of the first things I have them do is walk barefoot across many different types of materials, because one grounds them, and 2, it stimulates the change in the neural system up to the brain. So it's pretty
Have
cool.
you ever had anyone utilize a sensory deprivation tank?
Like the float tanks?
Yes.
Yes, I think those are great. I don't have one, but there's one in Londonderry that's awesome. If anybody wants to go, with New Hampshire.
And like, have you ever tried it?
Yeah.
And you didn't feel anxious?
I felt anxious for the first 2 minutes the first time, and then it passed, and then I was fine. And then I was like, no, the lights came off. It's over. Give me more time. So I think they're great. I've done a bunch of times. And the last one I usually like to do is if you're having problems with a lot of tension, something for body awareness is progressive relaxation exercises. So a lot of times we don't realize we're tense. I don't know if you've ever been for a massage and you're like, oh, I relaxed. And then like 10 minutes later, you're like, oh, I just relaxed again. How do you know I was tense in between? Because you don't realize how tense you are. So progressive relaxation exercises would be something like tightening as tight as you can go and then relaxing. And each time you do that, you'll find that you relax a little bit further and a little bit further. And doing all of those different things together, the grounding, the progressive relaxation will help get you in your body so that you are more aware of your sensations that you're feeling and less in your mind.
I did that in yoga.
In yoga? you're like, oh, good, I'm good. And then like you relax a little bit more into it. Yeah, it's great. So.
Especially when I get touch yoga from this yoga.
The hands-on assist is always the best. So that's what so my mindfulness is usually actually less about the mind and more about being more aware of yourself and your body. So any questions? Good questions. And I'll leave these out on the table too if anybody wants to look at them at the end.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sarah. So next up is Dawn. Dawn's going to be talking about Dawn's here. Nutrition, health and nutrition.
Was that a plug? Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag Dawn's here. Hashtag Dawn's here.
Hi, Hillary. I wish you were here. I miss you. I love you. I'm Becky. Everyone else.
I was really excited to see them today.
But I'm Dawn, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a personal trainer down at the compound, so if you're local, come by. But obviously nutrition and a lot of what we're talking about plays into like what I do, specifically with grounding. As Sarah mentioned, scientifically the ground has just as much energy as the sun does. So it's just not flaming hot, so we can actually tap into it. So grounding yourself is very good, and I think it's just getting back to those basics. Like at one point in time, we walked around barefoot and we were connecting to the ground a lot too. And I think that plays a role into our nutrition too. Like we've become really luxurious with our food. You know, everything is convenient and easy and fast. And we've come away from those basics, those basic foundations of like farming for our food and foresting for our food. And because of the way we've evolved, the way our food is made is a lot different than when I was growing up, when you were growing up, when you were growing up. And so we like to just bring a reminder back into the basics, like getting back into your whole foods instead of trying to find, you know, a quick and easy solution for it. But knowing also that our food that we do have, which is whole food and fruits and vegetables, is not being harvested as we once were, with the depletion of our soils and contamination of our water. And so making sure that we're choosing the right things to, you know, help supplement or take us to the next level. And I think a lot of people see me and they're like, personal trainer, you know it all, it's easy. It's not. I'm still human. I still want to eat like the sleeve of Oreos sometimes, you know. It's not always the best choice. But knowing that even someone like myself, who I have veggies with almost every single meal, I'm still not getting what I need nutritionally. And it's understanding that and finding the appropriate ways to do that. And so, again, I think that's why for a lot of us, Juice Plus made sense, because a lot of us came from juicing backgrounds or organic backgrounds or vegan-ish, you know. And so we're like teetering on that line of like what's right and what's wrong. And because of the way things have evolved in this industry, it's very overwhelming. Like 4 years ago, we could have Splenda. Now we can't. Now it's Truvia. You know, so things evolve. Food evolves. And Juice Plus made sense to all of us because we know it's locally sourced with farms that are harvesting food the way we would like them to. And then it's juicing, drying, and capsuling them. And we talked about, you know, mindset. I think a lot of people forget that our gut is almost just as important as our heart and our brain. So we are over 50% water, right? Almost all of our organs, our important ones, our lungs, our brain, our heart is over 75% water. And a lot of us have come very far away from water, right? I think there's a statistic that says over 65% of our youth is not drinking water at all. So that is a scary, scary statistic. And I think we have to lead by example as parents, as mentors, as trainers, you know, whatever role you take with our youth and getting them back to the basics too. But it's hard, right? I mean, we pick and choose our battles within our marriage, within our family, within our kids. And I'm very blessed. My kids will eat most things, but it's so easy to give them a gummy. Like we move very far away from synthetics, so we don't do fruit snacks. So to give them a gummy is a much easier option. For those of you who do follow me, I do lunch reviews because a lot of people saw me and they were like, there's no way your two kids eat like that. So my daughter now shares her lunch every morning before we go to school. And I'm a mom on a budget, so it's from things from Market Basket, so it can be done. And I think that's what speaks a lot to us. And it's just like what we talk about, we lean on our tools for our mindset, we lean on resources. Meal prepping has become very second nature for me. So as Allison said, we do salad in a jar parties, or we have meal prep parties, or I've done, I call it searching and learning, where if you want to take me on your grocery shopping I'll go with you and you can tell me what you'd pick and I can tell you what's a better option. You know, so we have lots of stuff like that. We have tons of cookbooks. I mean, you have Betty Crocker of New Hampshire right here at your fingertips. So if you don't follow her, you should. But I mean, even people from our community, like she makes amazing like acai bowls that I'm just gonna borrow from her. You know, one of my clients, Jen, where are you? Where'd you go? Right there. She's like the Pinterest queen. So when we're shredding, she's like, "Darn, I want another shred friendly." I'm like, "Great, save." So we all have our good things, and we all have like our areas of where we need support. So for health, it's about, you know, grounding yourself, getting back to that solid nutrition, hydrating, because that's what we need, and getting back to that. And sleep. Sleep is definitely my area of weakness. I burn the candle at both ends. Most people that know me know that. But it's one of the things that I work on. And, you know, I try to, you know, during certain periods, like, you know, I get really strict with my husband and I tell him I'm going to go to sleep, or I try to make that extra time on the weekends. So one fun fact is you can't make up the sleep you lost. So even if you sleep in the next day, you're not really getting it back. But all those things tie into balance. And I think that's a lot of what we're about too, is finding, I know for me in my practice with my clients, and we try to exude that at our facility, is a sustainable balance of happiness and healthy. You can do all the diets in the world, and I won't knock them if they're getting you on a healthier path. But how sustainable is it? You know, the yo-yoing is it's not any healthier than it is staying from one extreme or to the next. But it's finding that happy, healthy, and inspiring everyone around you, from your kids to the neighbor to all of you. So, do you guys have any questions for me? Great. Well, I'll be
I
right
have a question. I have a
Sure.
question for Al. What's everyone's favorite high vibrational food? What do you think is what food do you eat that brings you the most vibration? I don't have an answer. I'm just curious from you guys.
Strawberries.
Strawberries.
Nuts.
What is it?
Nuts.
Nuts?
Yeah.
Popcorn?
I'm obsessed with baby broccoli right now.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
I was gonna say watermelon too.
Yeah.
I have a
This time of
slight
year, it's
addiction to
watermelon.
peanut butter. I get really excited.
I'm always butter.
So you can actually Google high vibrational foods and it'll come up with a list. So there are foods, you know, I think this kind of ties in with nutrition.
Yeah.
There are foods that have a higher frequency to them than other foods. So if you want to Google that list, it's a good one to look at. And, you know, every cell in our body has a vibration. All water has a vibrational level. So what we're feeding, in order for you to vibrate at a higher level, you know, we have to eat and drink things that are higher level vibration. So it's no surprise to me when I started on this nutrition path. You know, I suffered. I'll be the next speaker, so I won't take off too much of your time. But you know, when I had postpartum depression, anxiety, like Sarah did, and I started green juicing, and it was then that I was like, oh wow, when I drink this green juice, like my energy goes way up, and my brain is on a different level. And so, if you're feeling yourself at a lower frequency, we're just giving you some ideas and some tricks and tools that have worked, but definitely look at what you're eating, and if you're eating in the lower vibrational foods, see what switches you can make to bring yourself up into higher vibrational foods. Same with, you know, water and sleep. And
I think a lot of it goes back to mindset too, right? So I know I've spoken with a lot of my personal clients that we work on nutrition about reframing your thoughts. Like, I collect food logs, and I can't tell you the amount of times it comes in with, oh my God, I was so bad this week. And I will reply right away, okay, send it to me again, but change that first sentence. Because it's about balance. So why did you fall off? Or I had a hard time with this instead of it that I was bad, right? So I always try to change the thought process from food being a reward and exercise being a punishment, or the restriction of food being the consequence. Because it's not about that. It's about listening to your body, understanding what it needs, and reframing your thoughts. Like, if you go into the salad for your lunch, like, oh my God, I'm gonna suck. Guess what? It's true. That salad's gonna suck. I did this like strange sort of thing with myself my second year in with Juice Plus, where like you picked a vegetable that you love and you tried to. I have a slight addiction to sugar, so my first shred was to get accountable with sugar. Like, you put a sleeve of Starburst in front of me, and in like 2 seconds there'll be no sharing. I apologize, and it'll be gone. So I know that's my Achilles heel. Some people's chips, some people's pizzas, some people's baked goods. Like, I would say no to 8,000 cakes, but you put a Skittle on the table and we're gonna fight. So you know, it's like, but I'm a mom, so I'm in Target and that damn dollar section and Walmart and every single gas station and this, so it's like staring at you in the face. And you know, the truth of the matter is you can get 2 for $5 huge family-sized bags of Starburst, and to get a damn bag of Brussels sprouts is like $7.99. So I had to retrain myself. It's also about making food good, right? So every time I went into the store, I said, sugar is poison and Brussels sprouts are amazing. And I did it for a very long time. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was easy, but now Brussels sprouts taste really damn good. Okay? So maybe that's a connection, maybe it's not. But I encourage you to reframe your thoughts. Like, go into it feeling good. Like Sarah said, place your hand on the heart and say, I really wish these Brussels sprouts were Starburst. I'm going to bring that taste, that taste into my mouth, and then I'm going to eat my Brussels sprouts. And you never know. But again, I think it's the way we think about it. You know, I think it's the way we feel about ourselves and our body. You know, like, I've definitely reframed my thoughts to thinking food is fuel. Like, I think all of us may have children, so it's like the ratatouille mindset. Like, I'm just eating to get through the day, and that's back to basics. When we were living for survival, that's what it was. Thankfully, we've come a long way. We can enjoy our food, but let's enjoy the healthy food, and it can be done. You just have to reframe your thoughts. And I can help you with that if anyone wants help with that. If you need help with food prep, if you need help with, I'm not the best cook, nor am I the best recipe girl, but I can lead you towards some amazing ones. And that's what it's about, networking, finding what works, you know, and things like that.
Dawn, I know you talked about water being, you know, that our bodies are made up of 75% water. Is that what?
Over 60, but most of our organs are made up of over 75.
Yeah. So there's that, I think you wanted to mention that Dr. Emoto.
Yes. So there is this study or test you can look up, Emoto, I think it's EMOTO, where he has a glass of water and he talks really negatively to one glass of water, and you see that the color of the water changes and it kind of crystallizes. And then he talks really nice to the other cup of water, and it just remains amazing and clean and fresh. And so if we think about, you know, whatever we think in our mind is just a thought and we can let it go, but how it can impact us still. So if we're over 60% water and our major important organs like our gut, our heart, our brain are over 75%, if you think about all those negative thoughts that seem to seep in and what that's doing to us. You know, there's another study that, I don't know the guy, but he put 2 plants, right? And he let kids talk bad to one plant and bully it and talk really nice to it. And one plant died and the other plant thrived. And plants are over 90% water. So if you think about how the connection to the ground and the energy that we have within our thoughts, within our actions, the impact that it has, there's this oxidative stress that we are all under. Just generally waking up every day, you're under oxidative stress. Now, if you had any sort of activity or stress from work, it could be daily stress from work, it could be kid stress, it could be workout stress, it could be, you know, any postpartum stress, you know, any type of PTSD stress, that just compounds the oxidative stress on you. So you all know the Emoto, there's another, you know, how if you take an apple and you cut it in half and you leave it on the counter, it starts to brown. But if you let it sit in like lemon water for a few minutes before, that sort of reduces the risk. And that's because lemon provides that balance, you know, it sort of fights that. So we all know that the more veggies that you intake, you know, good quality vegetables that you intake consistently, right? Like I can eat kale every day, but this morning I left my, you know, my omelet on the table and my dog had eaten it by the time I got home. So I'm down already 2.5 cups. But you know what? I did take my Juice Plus today. So, you know, that consistency of that, which no matter how good you meal prep, no matter how good of a cook you are, you're not going to get the quality and the consistency that you get with something like this. So I think that's a big deal too. You know, we got to reframe our thoughts because it physically impacts us. It's not just the mental side of it too. So, but any of the slew of things that I spoke about this evening, please feel free to reach out. Dawn's here.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you,
And I
Dawn.
will pass it off to the wonderful, amazing
Amanda. Amanda's going to be talking about personal growth.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I guess I'm the guest speaker.
Can I add
Yeah.
something real quick to Dawn's before we go on? Is a lot of people talk about the gut-brain connection, that microbiome in your gut, and the microbiome is the good bacteria in your gut, and they actually only feed off plants. They don't feed off of animal proteins. So that's why plant health is really important also for not only physical health, but mental health.
Eat your veggies.
Yes, yes.
The rainbow.
And if you look at that list, I mentioned the high vibrational foods. Most of them are fruits and vegetables. So those are the foods, and raw fruits and vegetables, ideally, those have the highest vibration. So.
And then real quick, I
Mhm.
think what we fail to realize too is the meat that we're eating do not get the protein from meat, right? They're all herbivores. They're all eating plants. So we are literally, it's passing through this liaison, if you will. So
Yeah.
just wanna throw that out there.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I came in from Denver. I didn't come in just for this, but I do live in Denver. My name's Amanda, and I love this topic. I think it's fascinating. I am a mom of 2. I just dropped my boys off. They're 9 and 11 at an all-boys camp for 4 weeks. So that's, and I'm doing a little tour of friends, and Allison invited me to stay here tonight. So I feel really lucky about that. So yeah, just a little bit about how I'm talking to you about personal growth. I'm not an expert, but I was in healthcare for about 5 years and was a manager, and people would come into my office and ask me questions, and I didn't know how to answer them. I didn't know how to solve anything. I felt like I was doing them a disservice, actually. And so I sought out ways to improve myself. And so one thing I did is I went to school to be a life coach. Has anyone ever had a life coach or talked to a life coach? Yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. So it was really eye-opening to me, because I learned that first of all, I learned a lot about myself. It was some pretty intense training over a course of a couple years. I learned how to be curious about myself. We can be really hard on ourselves, right? It's really easy to be hard on ourselves and think, why am I thinking this way, or why am I doing this? And I think what I learned is it's much better to be curious about yourself and just say, that's interesting. Like, it's interesting I'm thinking that, or that's interesting that I have that behavior, or about your spouse or your friend or whatever. So I really learned to be curious. I learned to ask good questions, both of myself and of my clients that I was working with. And that has hopefully spilled over to lots of other areas in my life, including, becoming a parent. And hopefully I ask better questions as a parent than I used to. And just to really be open to learning from people that have gone before me, and that have had success in whatever area that I'm looking to improve. I think I like to think of the mind as a garden, right? We're always either feeding the flowers or we're feeding the weeds. We have that choice every day. And so when we feed the weeds, guess what grows? Or actually, when we don't do anything, guess what grows? Weeds. Okay, so default method of your brain is to grow weeds, because your brain is just a little computer. It's just doing its own thing, and it's just going to go and grow lots of weeds. So I really feel like our job, if you want to raise your vibration, if you want to be one of those people, and you guys just being here have already chosen to raise your vibration. Like, that's awesome that this topic just is appealing to you. And if you want to take it to the next level, I think it's deciding, I want to feed my flowers. And maybe I just start by, watering it a little bit. And then soon, once you start watering it every day, those flowers just take over, and the weeds have a lot harder time to grow. So what I want to give you tonight is just a few of the things that I've come across in my, the last however many years it's been since I've sort of dove into this topic more, things that have helped me. And then I want to have permission to do some coaching with you guys. Okay, cool. So we want to feed the flowers, not the weeds. So let's dive into on the back of your sheet is some questions. So this is something that you may or may not have done this before. This is called the Wheel of Life. And what I want you to do is just circle a number between 1 and 7 in each of these areas of your life. And don't think too much about it. Just kind of that gut reaction, like, where are you? If you need a pencil, let us know, or something to write with.
I can go grab a few.
Just, if you need to share a pen or pencil, just gut reaction, where are you right now? 1 being, pretty low on the scale, it says completely dissatisfied, and 7 meaning completely satisfied. Again, no judgment, it's just a snapshot in time of kind of where you do this assessment tonight. And again, part of personal growth, I think, is knowing where you are and where you want to go. Like, that's
Where do you want to grow into? What flowers do you want to grow in that garden?
Does anyone need a pencil?
Kind of all of our random
Anyone else? You good?
Shake your butt if you're like getting too serious. You know, if you're like, no, I don't know if I'm a 4 or 5. Just pick one. Shake your butt out. Release their hands. Wiggle around. No one's gonna look at this. You're not gonna be graded. There's no right or wrong. So the categories: friends and family, fitness and health, career, money, personal and spiritual growth, romance, significant other, physical, environment, home, fun, and recreation. Great. So everyone has at least a number for each of those? Okay, great. So which one, and you can decide on your own, which one do you want to focus on? What's an area that you want to focus on? And just either circle that one the most, like it doesn't have to be your lowest area. You know, you could be at a 6 in an area and be like, that's the one I have the most energy around right now. I want it to be a 7. Like, what would a 7 look like in that area? It's a 6. Or maybe you choose to focus on the lowest one. Or maybe you say, you know what, the lowest one, I'm really okay that that's pretty low right now. So it doesn't always have to be the lowest one. So circle the one that you want to be a little bit higher or a lot higher. And then I want you to circle the number that you want to be. So where do you want to be in that area? All right, so we're going to do some a little bit of coaching. Does anyone want to be coached in that area? I can do some coaching. Does anyone want to be coached? Okay. Come on. You wore a good shirt for tonight.
Yes, I know. She wore our shirt. Look at that.
I know. What's your name?
Allison.
Allison. Okay. You know Allison?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the area that you want to be?
My career.
Okay. So where are you now?
I'm a Pilates instructor.
And what number are you?
I gave myself a 4.
Okay. And where do you want to be?
A 6. I mean, I know I'll get to a 7, but I'd like to go to a 6.
Okay. So what would a 6 look like for you?
I need to get certified.
What would that give you?
Credentials.
What would that give you?
More money.
What would that give you?
A bigger bank account.
Okay.
Financial security.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a single mom. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Need to do that.
Okay. So a 6 means you're certified.
Yes.
And certified in, do you know exactly what you want to be certified in?
Yes.
Okay. So do you know what that is?
Comprehensively trained, certified Pilates.
And you know where to go get that certification?
Yes, I know
Who
how to-
teaches it?
I know how to do it and I know how to get there. I
Okay.
just haven't done it.
Okay. So that's one thing. What else is the 6? What else would a 6 be?
More personal clients
Okay.
per week.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Who are these clients?
Any of you? No, I work at 2 different studios, so people that go.
Okay, so you're recruiting from people that already go.
Right. I do have a reformer in my house if anybody wants to come over.
So what would a 6? No, seriously, like
Yeah.
what's a 6? Like
Yes.
You're training people at your house too.
Yeah, I told you.
We don't know.
I don't. Here, Wyndham.
Okay.
I just moved here Friday.
She's a newbie.
Well
So is a 6 staying where you're at, or is it a 6 your own studio? Is it a
I
6
could be a 6. I could be a 6 where I'm at.
You could be a 6
Yes.
where you're at.
I already know that I'm like,
You're at a good place.
yes.
Okay. So you're a 6 is you can stay where you're at, but you also are training at your home.
Yeah.
How many times a week?
In my home
Uh-huh.
or
Yeah.
everywhere.
But just maybe in your home.
I would say 4 days a week.
4 days a week in your home. Okay. And then 5?
Sure.
Yeah. And how much are they paying you?
I just thought of this today. $40 for 1 session.
Okay.
Yeah.
You sure about that?
No. because it's less. Because it's what I would take home from the gym, but not what I would charge if I had my own studio.
Okay. So, yeah. So think some more about
And because
that.
I'm not certified,
But you are going to be certified.
I am going to be certified.
At a 6, you're
At a
When I
6,
get
you're gonna be
certified. When I'm a
certified.
6.
Yeah, when you're 6.
Allison, you need some water?
All right, so 6, you're
I know, you're doing good.
You're
You're doing good.
certified. You're
Yes.
seeing clients in your home. Are you? What else are you? Are you teaching other places? Are you teaching other places? Who's with you? Like, do you have any business partners? Are you? No.
Do you want your own studio?
Yeah, one day.
I'm sorry?
Would that be the 7th?
Yes. Yeah. I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So is there more clarity around what a 6 would be?
Mhm.
Okay. So how do you want to cement this in for yourself? You could do a vision board. You could do some writing about it. You could collect some pictures on.
How long does the certification take?
I've done all my training. I just have to take the test.
Oh. You better put a date. You better pick a date. Yeah, you gotta give a solid date.
I saw you on Instagram. What am I doing?
Yeah. So yeah, we need a date. So a goal. We need a date for the test, and we need we need the vision, because we know either people move towards vision or they move away from fear, right? And I think it's more compelling to move towards a vision. Okay, so what you're going to do, you could use one of Sarah's mindfulness apps and literally create that vision for yourself over and over again in your mind. You literally picture people coming into your house. You picture yourself going to your studio. People are lining up for you, waiting to call you. You picture, the money going into your hand. So literally creating your own reality before it happens. And then all of a sudden one day you'll be like, I've been meditating about that for three weeks now, and there it is. So creating that reality for yourself. So anyway, good job.
Good job.
Yeah.
I work at the executive during the week, and then I work in Boston on Saturdays.
Oh, nice.
Great.
I'm gonna find you. We're gonna
Yeah.
and get those certificates.
Yeah.
Champagne Hippie on Instagram.
Great. So I want you to team up with somebody, ideally someone you do not know, because coaching someone you know is harder. So team up with someone. You don't have to do it as in depth as I just did, but ask them what number they want to be and ask them what that would look like for them. And you can ask some clarifying questions like I did, just to help get a little bit more out of them. People will tend to lowball themselves. They'll tend to not think as big as they should. We just know that. And especially when you're talking about yourself and those fears come in, those, negative thoughts. So anyway, do we have a couple minutes for this?
We can do that, yeah.
Okay.
As long as everyone doesn't mind. Yeah. A little extra minutes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So team up with someone that you don't know. And just ask them All right, do it quick. If you haven't switched partners yet, you might want to talk to us. be around something? Yeah? Yeah? Great. Who has at least an area that they may want to explore when they get home? An area that's, yeah. Great. So do you guys notice when you're just talking about something positive, like the whole vibration in this room changed, right? Because we were all creating our future. We were all in a very positive mindset, talking about something that was going to be very positive in the future. And so, you can do that with somebody else, or you can do that with yourself, again, using all the other techniques that we've talked about. So just, when you get home, again, the couple of techniques I mentioned is using this as part of a meditation, is to create your own reality. Joe Dispenza, I can also put him in on the Facebook group. He is a chiropractor that has developed meditations on free on iTunes. It's called a morning and evening meditation. And he has you recreate your day. He has you thinking as if something's already happened. So I'd recommend him.
So my favorite quote is, your problem has already been solved. You just haven't reached that point in time yet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when I was starting my PT business, I knew I could do it, but I had so much fear. But I could picture myself doing it, and that got me there, just visualizing that, because otherwise the fear would have totally stopped me.
Yep, absolutely.
Totally.
So visualizing like it's already done, and you literally change your brain waves. You're changing the whole law of attraction. You're changing everything about your being. So then you just keep attracting in what you need. Okay, so it works. So if there's one area that you really want to focus on, whether it's family or finance or relationships, that's where you want to dive into your personal development. Go to ask your friends and family. You certainly can ask us, what are your favorite books? I think everyone's going to be different. I'll just tell you, I've done trainings with Tony Robbins. I think he's amazing. He has free stuff on YouTube, or you can go to one of his, I did a week-long Date with Destiny course with him a couple years ago. So there's all kinds of different levels. Brene Brown, we love, as part of the Juice Plus company, we get access to Brene Brown in the leadership program, which is pretty amazing. So we really love Brene Brown, her talk on vulnerability. She has a new Netflix movie out, which is really great, called The Courage. Yeah, so she's someone that we really love as well. And then Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass, great book. She's got You Are a Badass, and then You Are a Badass at Making Money, and then You Are a Badass Every Day. But she's really, she's really a big one on meditation as well. Just saying, meditation is that, she calls it the highway to awesomeness or something like that. But anyway, I don't know exactly who's going to speak to you. That's your responsibility. But you've got to just go and listen to TED Talks. They're free. It doesn't have to cost a lot of money. You can go to $1,000 courses, but you can also just access this stuff for free on YouTube, online. If you don't know where to start, ask us. We're happy to point you in the right direction. But lots of resources out there. So I'd love for everyone, you don't have to do it right now, but write down that goal, write down that vision, go home, cement it in yourself, because it's easy for it to leave when you go out there and the negative vibes are out there. So we got to cement them in tonight, and then once you leave, you're going to be armored up so that you can go and have the life that you really want, or make the changes that you want. So thanks, and I'm going to hand it over to Allison.
Thank you. All right, guys, so last topic of the night. I'm going to be talking about abundance, and I love this topic because I think personal development has been huge for me, definitely for the past 3 years, and working on abundance has been I've been a serious work in progress on that. And I kind of I'm going to bring it back to you, Allison, for a minute, because when you said, when Amanda asked you how much you're going to charge, and you're like $40, it's what you're worth. You're worth more than that, right? And so it's realizing that we're worthy of abundance, not just with money, but with happiness, with health, with all different things. So I'm going to quickly read to you the actual definitions of abundance. An ample quantity, affluence and wealth, and a relative degree of plentifulness. So, and I've got lots of notes here because I have a whole list that I'm going to go over, but there's a lot of research that suggests that the world around us and how we interact with people affects the way that you manage stress, how you're mindful, how you learn new things. And when we adapt that abundance mentality, we start to really change our life. So we kind of look at, you know, who are the people that we surround ourselves with? You know, are they negative people? Are they positive people? What's the energy around you? We kind of are in this mindset of there isn't enough of the good to go around, right? We think about this in our jobs. I'm not going to be the one to get the promotion. I'm not going to be the one to get the raise. I'm not going to be the one to be the CEO, right? We think that there isn't enough room at the top, right? There isn't enough wealth. We think that there isn't enough room for, you know, everybody to be happy. You know, why is that person happy all the time? How come they have all the friends and I don't have any friends? How come, you know, they win all the games and I don't win any of the games? How come, you know, when you're thinking about your kids might be walking around, they get all the goals in soccer and I don't get any, you know, they don't think that there's enough room for everybody. So that abundance mentality is basically there's enough for everybody to go around and there's enough for you to share with everybody also. You have an abundant amount of things that you can share with people and people can learn from you. So, you know, one thing we love about our business, you know, when we're talking about kind of, you know, levels in businesses is we know in our business there's enough room at the top for everybody. So we kind of all come in our business at the same level, and it doesn't matter what your background is, who you are, whether you've gone to school, whether you're a mom, whether you're a PT, whether you're a doctor, who you are, everybody has the ability to make it to the top. And that's, you know, something that we've always kind of really loved about our company. So, you know, it's, you know, the mentality that everything that you want is out there and it's all in your mindset and how you think and how you bring that into your life. And we'll talk about some things about visualization. We just kind of talked about that. So when you kind of bring that abundance mentality into your life, you live a satisfying, full life. You live happier no matter what the circumstances. So you start to look at things differently. Even if there are bad things going on in your life, you start to look at things differently. You kind of feel content and inspired and creative, and you live a more meaningful life. So I'm going to go over a quick 8 steps to bringing that abundance mentality into your life. So the first is being conscious of what you think. I have a lot of show and tell. So being conscious of what you think. This is one of my favorite books that I read. The Power of the Unconscious Mind. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. A couple of key things in here. If you think good, good is going to follow. So Power of the Unconscious Mind is by Joseph Murphy. And it's a really nice short book, which is nice. So if you think good, good's going to follow. If you think negative, negative's going to follow. So I'm never going to get that promotion. I'm never going to get married. You know, there's so many different things, whether you're thinking about relationships, anything that if you keep thinking that in your head, that's what's going to follow you. So it's, again, changing that mindset, thinking that you're worthy of good relationships, worthy of a good job, worthy of health, right? If you say, oh, I'm sick all the time, you know, I never feel good, I'm always tired, you know, if you have that mentality, that's what's going to come into your life. So it's changing that mental attitude and starting to change the way you think. And you can actually mold and create your own future by the way you think. So, you know, we want to keep that in mind. The second is showing gratitude. So I know something that I do every day. I write down things that I'm grateful for every day. So whether you do that in the morning, whether you do that before you go to bed, you know, think about what you're grateful for. So a lot of people, again, may walk around and have that mentality of, oh, you know, I just lost my job, or I don't have enough money for the groceries, or I don't have this. But think about the things you are grateful for. I have my health, or I have two beautiful, healthy kids. I have a home to live in. I always think about one of the things I write down every once in a while that I'm grateful for is that I'm actually grateful that I'm able to exercise. Some people can't, right? I have the legs to do that. I can go for a walk. I don't have to go and run a marathon. I could just go out and go for a walk. So, you know, thinking little things like that, showing gratitude, being thankful for all of the things you do have in your life, and focusing on those things rather than focusing on the negative. Acknowledging, number 3, acknowledging countless possibilities. So this is a really tough one. So, but trying to never be disappointed in life. You know, one of the things that I always like to say, everything happens for a reason, right? We may lose a family member, we may lose a job, we may get divorced. There's so many things that can happen in our life. You may break an ankle, you know, and you're in the middle of, you know, training for a marathon. Everything always happens for a reason. Even thinking, one of the things I love to talk about, because I think this probably happens to all of us, is you're in a car and you're in a rush to go somewhere and the person in front of you is driving 10 miles an hour, right? And you're like, how's that problem? Why are they moving? Beep, beep, like, flip them the bird, like whatever, you know, whatever you're doing. But my mentality has now changed. Like, yes, for a moment, split second, I'm like, oh, and you get frustrated, but then I'm like, okay, this is happening for a reason, right? Maybe the person really going really slow in front of me is stopping me from getting into an accident that's going to be happening further up. Or, you know, there's so many different ways to think about it, but just kind of, and it's not easy. You can ask Emma. I get angry in the car. It's not easy, but it's being mindful of it and coming back and noticing, right? We talked about, like, Sarah talked about noticing those thoughts and coming back and being like, okay, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. So again, just acknowledging that, you know, training your mind to consider that there's many possibilities of what can be going on. So the fourth one is being organized. How do you feel when you are disorganized?
Crazy.
It's crazy, right? Your vibration goes way down, right? I know when I've got a million things to do and I don't have it written down on a list and I don't know where to start and I just kind of sit back and I'm like, I'm just going to do nothing because I don't even know what to do next. I don't know where to start, right? So being organized, whether that's organizing your closet, you know, how do you feel when you go into your closet? How do you feel when you go into your home? How do you feel when you go into your office? You know, keeping those things organized. I know for me, when the house is clean, when my closet's clean, I walk in and I'm like, oh, this is like, right? You take this deep breath, you have this smile on your face, like you totally get this, like, it raises your vibration, right? You get this amazing feeling. So there's many different ways you can get organized and everybody does it different. So you have to find what works for you. Some people make lists on their phone. I personally I'll show you guys my favorite thing. I made Brenda buy one this year. Are you still using yours or no?
So much money on journal.
I know. I use a journal. So this is the one I use. It's called, if I can open it up, it's called the Start Planner. This is what it looks like. It's called the Start Planner. So this is what I use. And I love it. This is today and it's very, it's neat and organized because I didn't do much today, but some of them get messy. But basically it has the top 3 things I want to get done during the day. And then it has my to-do list. And then it has my, what's that?
What got in the wait list?
The what? Oh yeah, what got in the wait list, yeah. It has my schedule for the day, appointments, anything like that. What I'm going to eat for dinner, what I'm making for dinner, just things like that. You don't have to fill it all out. You don't have to do all that stuff. But I'm a to-do list person. I love to be able to, like, oh, I checked it off. Check it off, check it off, check it off. That makes me feel good. And when I do that, I know for me, that raises my vibration. I also love, there's many different planners, but I love this planner because it has a goal section. So at the beginning of the month, I write down like 3 things that I want to accomplish during the month. And that can be cleaning out my closet. It doesn't have to be a work goal. It can be organizing my desk or, you know, whatever that is that's going to make you feel better and happier with your environment around you. So it's really just getting yourself organized so you feel good and accomplished during the day, right? Because we can sometimes get to the end of the day and we're like, what did I do today? That one's called the Start Planner. There's so many. But sometimes I get to the end of the day and I'm like, I feel like I got nothing accomplished, right? So having things that you check off, you can look back and say, well, maybe I didn't get my whole list done, but I got this, and this done. And again, it's changing that mindset and being like, oh, I actually did get stuff accomplished today. So number 5, focusing on abundance instead of lack. So we kind of talked about this a little bit. You're going to attract what you focus on. So if you focus on negative, you'll attract negative. So if you say, oh, I don't have enough money to do that, or, you know, something like that, you want to focus on the things you do have versus the things that you don't have. So again, changing that mindset. Building an abundance environment. We always hear the term, you become like the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? So think about who you're spending your time with. And what are they talking about? Are they talking negatively about people? Are they constantly saying how busy they are and how tired they are and how miserable they are in their job? And, you know, what is their vibe that they're sending off to you? Because you're going to take in that same vibe if those are the people that you're constantly hanging around with. So finding people that inspire you, finding people that lift you up, finding people that want you to do well, right? Not people that you want to compete with, but people that want to help you succeed, whether that's in your job, in your health, or, you know, in your workout, you know, having a workout buddy or anything like that. Brenda's my workout buddy. We have days sometimes where we go in and we're like, but, you know, in the end, we're like, we did that. Yes. You know, we did that. We did good. So surrounding yourself with those positive people, and that positive energy will come to you later. So
what do you do if like somebody with the opposite effect is like someone that is like really important in your life?
Your mom.
Like my mom.
yeah. So I've got that too.
Really bad.
She's not gonna watch this one. No. That is
like 20 minutes after going down the list of everything bad
Yeah.
that happened. I'm like, well, what about anything positive?
Yeah.
Well, I hung up a shelf. Okay, great.
right, but it's doing that.
Yeah.
Right, it's doing that. It's helping them also. Of course, you're not gonna totally, you know, get rid of your mom and never talk to her again because she's negative.
Like, I don't know what to say. I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, how do you change their mind?
Yeah, it's finding balance. Sometimes for me, like, you want to turn it around and you want to say that. Well, what good came out of it? Well, look, you did this instead.
Yeah.
That's better, you know. And I think the more you do that with them, their mindset is going to change too. So you're inspiring them to have better energy. Sometimes you have to put earmuffs on.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to have that balance, and you have to just be like, okay, and you can't let it get to you.
Right. Because I always just did, okay, I need to fix this. What
Yeah.
can I do to fix that
Yeah.
or help?
We have earmuffs a lot in
And
our
it's learning to
And our
protect
family.
your energy.
That's, I would say,
Yes,
it's more
yes.
that.
You do
That's what I
have to
think.
protect your own energy.
You can't really change them.
Exactly.
So you have to learn I had to learn a lot how to not take it on
Yes.
from them, because that's what they're trying to do.
It's
Give
like
to you, so then
contagious.
they feel bad, so they don't have it.
Yeah.
They pass it on.
Yeah.
So you
I'm
have to learn
an
how to do that
empath,
well.
so when I have a friend that's going through a lot, or you know anything like that, they're having a bad week, or I've always taken on that energy. So
Yeah.
for me, that's been a huge
Right.
shift I've had to make, and that's something that I'm still definitely a work in progress on. But I've noticed how much better I am just over the past year, because
It's
like
hard.
it's very hard.
I'm taking Qigong next weekend, and that's supposed to help with that.
Really?
Yeah, it's in Nashville. Actually.
I live in Nashville.
Oh, right.
What's it called?
Qigong. It's the healing part of Tai Chi. It's on my thing under moving meditation.
Okay.
So my mom actually does that when she's in
I wanted
Florida.
to say Qigong.
So she's trying.
Okay.
I think too, like, if you can go, if you know you're going to talk to your mom or whoever that person is, if you can think ahead of time, like how you can maybe steer the conversation right out of the gate, and obviously she's going to chime in, but at least if you know that you kind of stood your ground and you went in thinking positive and like trying to pull positivity out of her, you
Yeah.
feel like you tried, as
Yeah.
opposed to like just letting her steamroll right out of the gate.
Well, I feel like a lot of times it comes off cold, right? When you're trying to like protect yourself and like distance yourself from certain things, people are like, wow, you're really just gonna turn your back on. But it's like trying to like, I have
You have to protect your energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you have to not feel bad about that either,
Right.
right? You have to not feel bad about
Yeah, and my advice, I think we talked, is like, I have dad similar. I armor up basically before I get on the phone call.
Yeah.
I create when we talk most of the time, so I'm in charge of like going in and so if you can create them mostly with the boundaries, and then when you're engaged, just be you, be empathetic, be the listener, whatever, but know that you are filled up before you get on that call, and that you're in charge of your emotions.
Yeah, and this kind of ties into the last one, and that's what's
not
that?
easy.
It's really hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah.
None of this is easy.
Yeah, it's like, no, I'm not.
None of
gonna
anything
call
that
right now.
anybody's
I'm going
talking
to
about
pick up
is
my
easy.
Yeah, and you don't want to be. You don't have to pick up every call. You don't have
Yeah. And that kind of ties into the last one, kind of developing a win-win situation, which I have always found, I always used to find very, very hard, especially with, a mom situation or family situation. And that's agreeing to disagree. Right? That's like one of the hardest things. But sometimes you have to put yourself into that situation where you're like, okay,
Marriage.
I'm good. Yeah, and yeah, sometimes it's in your marriage. Sometimes it's with your kids. Like, no matter what that is, sometimes you just have to take a step back and be like, there's no winning. There's no anything like that. We just have to agree to disagree. And yeah, you might not agree with the situation, but that's going to put you in a more positive state because you get to step away and you're not continuing to argue and argue and argue. You just, if you take a step back and be like, all right, we're going to agree to disagree. I'm good. You're good. And that's it. So, and just doing that little step, you're going to be like, oh, I feel better
I feel
because
like
now I
most
don't
of the
have
time when
to.
people disagree, like you both have the same goal, like the same end goal. You just
Yes.
disagree on how to get there.
Yeah, for sure. So the last thing quickly I want to talk about is, how do we bring all of this in together, right? So what do we do to make all of this happen? So there's a book that I love. It's another book called The Miracle Morning. Yes. Has anyone read this book? Brenda has. I have to. Anybody else read this book? Brenda and I talk a lot at the gym. So Miracle Morning. This is an awesome book. It's by Hal Elrod. He basically talks about the things that you can do for morning rituals that's going to start your day off in a positive way. It's a super quick read, which is one thing that I love. And I adopted this. He says to do it for 30, especially do it definitely for 30 days, but I think I did it for longer, maybe 60, maybe even close to 90. And then the holidays came. I started in September and then the holidays came and that kind of went to crap. And then I brought it all back after the new year, kind of in my own way. So, and just so you know, I started the Miracle Morning the day after Labor Day. On Labor Day last year, I hurt myself at the gym. I couldn't walk. It was the first day of school. I was on crutches. My ankle was this big, but I had promised myself I was going to start the morning miracle. So I got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, the first day of school. I slid my butt down the stairs because I literally could not walk. I plopped myself on the couch. I put my leg up on pillows and I did my first Miracle Morning and I kept on doing it. Yeah. And I noticed a shift in my life when I started doing this Miracle Morning. Like good things started happening, more positive things started happening. I started feeling better. I started feeling more positive things started happening in my business. Just so many different things. So I want to just quickly talk about, there's the steps he calls, it's called SAVERS. So SAVERS. I have this on your little handout. Silence, like Sarah talked about, as some type of meditation, sitting in silence or you're doing an app or anything like that. Affirmations, daily affirmations. I'm going to go over those at the end because I'm going to read them. I'm actually going to read you my daily affirmations. I'm going to share them because this is a safe zone, even though it's on Zoom and 50 other people can read it. Visualization. Who talked about, Amanda, you talked about visualization. So actually visualizing what you want your life to be like, right? And I don't even just sometimes visualize for myself. I visualize for Scott. I visualize for my kids. Where do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want your life to be like? I even visualize, I have something that I'm going for, like a promotion I'm going for in my business. So I visualize like, what's that going to feel like when I get that? How am I going to feel? And I visualize myself up on a stage and thousands of people and, I visualize all this stuff. So visualization, exercise, some form of daily exercise. And that doesn't have to be running a marathon. It doesn't have to be weightlifting. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. It can be as simple as getting up and going for a walk, right? Get yourself up, get yourself moving. You can do a small little yoga flow in the morning, or you can do like a full class. Reading something that's inspirational. All right, so I'll go over what I do for that. And then scribing. So that's writing. So for scribing, your writing can be writing down what you're grateful for every day, or writing down your affirmations, So those are sort of the steps. So I went through the full Miracle Morning for pretty much the full fall, I think until probably Thanksgiving. And then, and I did all of the steps except the exercise, because I did the exercise. I always exercise later, but I did all the steps. I did that. I did the meditation, the affirmations. Then I visualized. I read from a book, and then I wrote down what I was grateful for. So those are the things that I did. So just a couple things. This is a book that I love for reading. This is my favorite. It's called Journey to the Heart. And what I love about it, it's daily meditations on the path to freeing your soul. So this is an amazing book. What I love is there's actually a daily reading every day. So you can go on, it's super quick. I'm just going to read you today's because it's actually pretty cool. And I always feel like every time a reading comes up, it's meant to be for that day in a weird, odd way. So for June 25th, it was Ground Yourself. That was the reading for today, right? So weird that that showed up on today when we're talking about grounding. So just as an example, I won't read the whole thing, but so much of our growth is spiritual. Sometimes we fly so high, our souls soar into the heavens, touching life's magic, sailing into the high spiritual realms. This is as it should be, but we need to be grounded too. Even the tallest tree, the one that reaches hundreds of feet into the sky, has roots that go deep into the earth. The higher we want to travel on spiritual planes, the more we need to learn to ground ourselves. Our roots need to go deep into the earth. So that's kind of what we're talking about. There's more, but I love these because there's a special reading for every day. And there's lots of different books like these, but this is just my personal favorite. So what I do now for my daily rituals, for my morning rituals, I get up early. I get up, if it's a school year, I get up before the kids even get up. I get myself dressed. I come downstairs. I do meditation. And depending on how quickly I get down here, sometimes it's 5 minutes of meditation. Sometimes it's 20 minutes of meditation. I personally like 10% Happier. That's my favorite. I like it because it's guided and there's also courses. So I've learned so much about mindfulness and meditation by listening. It has like a little talk and then does a little meditation after that. So I've learned so much on that. So
do you choose the time on that, or how does that work?
It depends. So there's individual ones. So I can find one that's 3 minutes. I can find one that's 20 minutes. The courses are they're a set time. So usually they're around like 15, 20 minutes. So if I'm doing a course, I've got to make sure I have the time for that. But that's my favorite app. So I do meditation, and then I've kind of combined writing and affirmation. So this is my little journal. We actually got this from somebody in our business, which is awesome, our What If journal. So every day I go into this journal, and you can see if I can kind of flip through. I like everything colorful, so I have like a different color pen for every day, because I'm a little psycho like that. I like to be organized. That's part of my organization. Color coding. So I write down, I literally have 3 lines that I write down what I'm grateful for, right? So we already talked about that. So think about things that you can be grateful for. I'm going to actually read you all of my affirmations just so you guys can get an idea of what affirmations are and what they can be. The first 2 I'll keep to myself because they are about my business and they have dates and certain things on there, so I'll keep those to myself. But the other ones are, and again, it's acting as if. Who talked about that? Is that you, Amanda? So when I write affirmations, I act as if. I may not be feeling like this all the time, but I'm going to write it down and I'm going to act as if it's happening, right? Because if I write it down every day and that's what I'm thinking and that's what I'm visualizing, that's what I'm going to bring into my life. So my mind is clear. I am healthy and full of energy. The universe brings me the people I need to bless. I am always in the right place at the right time. Today is going to be the best day of my life again. I am indestructible. My potential to succeed is infinite. I have a thriving business. I'm worthy of abundance. My dreams manifest into reality before my eyes. I radiate beauty, charm, and grace. I am a working and motivated team magnet. I am superior to negative thoughts, and the best is yet to come. So those are all the things that I write down every single day. Literally, same. I already have. I've written that down so many times now. I have it memorized. I don't even need to look. I just literally write each line down along with what I'm grateful for. And then the visualization part. And I read my book. So those are the 3 things that I do in the morning. My visualization, I actually used to visualize in the morning while I was sitting on the couch doing this, but I found that my mind started wandering into all these crazy places. And all of a sudden 10, 15 minutes would go by and I'm like, oh, I gotta get up. I did way too much visualization. So now I have actually a specific song that I love that kind of gets me pumped up and motivated. And so after I drop Emma off at school, which I won't have that anymore, but so I find a time in the car that I'm driving, whether to the gym, to work, wherever it is, whenever you get into the car in the morning, that's the song I turn on, and that's when I do my visualization. So I have 2 songs that I play, one that inspires me, and then one that I do my visualization with. So that's how I do my visualization and some of my inspiration stuff. So, and that's it. So those are all the different things that you guys can do. Any questions?
What are your songs?
What are my songs? Yeah, so my, oh my goodness. No, I have it. The song, I can't even think of the name.
One of them is one of my dance songs, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the story. So the song that I listen to for inspiration is called Head Full of Doubt. Anyone ever hear that song? It's by the Abbott Brothers. It's amazing. So you can look up that song. And then my song for visualization is actually called Revolution. And the reason why I picked this song is kind of a weird story, but again, everything kind of happens for a reason. This is a song that Emma danced to. Emma's a dancer. This is a song that Emma danced to last year, and she competes. And so it was her first competition of the year, and her team went out on stage and did this song, danced to the song Revolution. Who's it by?
The Score.
The Score. And I literally bawled.
Wow.
And it was the first time. She's almost 16. She's been dancing ever since she was little. It's the first time that she's ever gotten out on stage and they danced that I literally cried. And I was like, oh my God, and I was bawling after and I couldn't stop and I was hyperventilating. It was crazy. And so kind of months went by and I was actually doing the Brene Brown leadership course through Juice Plus, which is absolutely unbelievable and a lot of how I've changed my mindset from that course. So definitely if you haven't read any Brene Brown books or watched that, her new movie, it's amazing. We had to actually pick a song, and something that we would want playing when we got to the top level of our company. So I was like, oh, trying to think. And again, weird things come into your life, right, for reasons. And then all of a sudden, we were playing that song, or I was playing that song, or Emma was playing a song in the car, and I was like, Revolution. I'm like, this is a song that I cried to. And we're all about our company and everything that our business is about is the healthy living revolution. And I was like, oh, that's my song. So that's how that came. And when I listened to the words, it's like, if you listen to the words, it's really it's pretty powerful, the song. And I guess I never really listened to the words until I decided that that was going to be my song. I only knew it as crying, when I listened to it. That's all I knew. So now that's the song that I listen to. Literally, I listen to those 2 songs every single day in my car. And someday I'll be up on the stage with that song.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll send you all the videos.
You all can come.
You can all come. So you can all be there with us. But yeah, so those are the 2 songs. You'll find the song that's right for you. It comes in weird ways, I think. But you'll figure it out. So any other questions? I don't know. 6 was build an abundance environment. 7 was keep reminding yourself to be positive. We may have skipped over that, but we talked about it. And then 8 was develop a win-win situation. So that was the agreeing to disagree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? I know we went over. I knew it would happen.
Yeah,
But that's
all
okay.
right.
It's all good.
That's okay. So thank you everybody for coming. If anybody has any questions, we're all around. Eat some food, have some drinks. mingle, and thank you everyone for coming.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Thank you.
Stop recording here.
Play your song. Play your song.
Oh, you want to play my song?
Yeah.
Oh, Emma, can you hook it up?
Should have walked up.